everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of CMU News. I am your co-host, Berkeley.
And I'm your co-host, Craig.
And we are bringing you the latest and the greatest news in the gambling and casino industry. So let's get rolling. It's 2024. The topic of iGaming gets brought up quite frequently because it is growing at 28% year over year. And Victor Rocha, who is chairman of IGA Trade Show and Conference, says tribes are seeing it as an existential threat. Craig, do you think this is good or bad for brick and mortar casinos?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it depends on the jurisdiction. So Victor, I believe, was talking about California, which is, I think, exclusively tribal gaming outside of, some poker rooms and things like that. I know the tribes united against a bill that was funded by DraftKings and FanDuel to open up sports, or iGaming, I should say, in California. In that form, I think it could potentially be an existential threat. Maybe not a total existential threat like all the casinos would shut down, but it would definitely take a big chunk out of their revenue if two just seasoned operators like FanDuel and DraftKings come in and the law was, hey, they can operate independently. They don't need to be tied to an individual property. It could be really bad because then potentially a lot of people would move to their devices and not make the trip to the properties. In an article, we saw this on CDC, great newsletter. They talked about how in certain jurisdictions like Pennsylvania and New Jersey, it's been helpful to the properties. New Jersey's a jurisdiction where every iGaming site is tied to a land-based property. So for them, they've been able to balance out revenue when in-person visits have dropped. The iGaming is made up for the revenue shortfall. So there's another argument in there that's made that it's helping to introduce young people to gaming. And I don't know, I wonder about that because I think about when I was a kid, before games were on my phone, I couldn't wait to go to the arcade. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm gonna save up some money. I'm gonna go to that nickel arcade. Even though they had quarter arcades were kind of the thing. I'm not that old, but I remember there were nickel arcades. I would go, and it was just awesome to play on these big machines. Now my kids are they're satisfied on an iPhone. If there is an arcade around, they'll play it. They'll ask for some money, but it's definitely not a big thing. So I wonder if the young folks that haven't played a slot machine before, if they're introduced to games on their device, are they going to be like, I really like this. I want to go play on the big machines at a casino. I don't know. That's a good question. Some people make that argument. I'm not sure. But I think casinos are getting a lot better at weaving in amazing amenities. So maybe it's a combination of, hey, we get a young person in because they want to go to the nightclub, they want to try out this restaurant, and then they see a slot machine and they're like, you know what, I tried that game on my phone, or I saw an influencer playing it, I'm ready to play. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. That's one thing I think that's so fun about being in the gaming industry is there's new technologies that come in and the recipe gets moved around a little bit and you just got to see what happens.
Yeah, you adapt from there.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you ever play an online slot game or anything like that on your phone?
I personally don't. I know people who do, and it's so fascinating that we can just be sitting there in a commercial break or something and we just get on our phones, and I tend to go to social media and they tend to go to a game that is like a slot game or something on their phone, or playing poker or doing this or that. So in the form of actually me having it on my phone, I don't, but that is something that is, it kind of translates. That's like my social media, and that is their version of iGaming.
Yeah, that is. And I remember a few years ago, it was what was it? Skill-based gaming was the thing. All these young people, they love playing video games, so we'll make our slot machines and our gambling games more like video games. And most of the companies that are developing those games are out of business now. So I don't know. It's interesting. I do think I'm heavy on, I believe sports betting, like the in-game sports betting, is a big trend that's going to continue because live sports have never been more popular. Yeah. And then the way that you can weave in gambling with that, like, hey, will the Niners score on this drive? I hope they do. Bet on it. I think that is definitely going to be a big trend. playing blackjack on the phone for money. I don't know. That'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see, and especially if that translates to land-based visits.
I definitely see how now people tend to use their phones for most things, and how casinos are going to see that they're not physically coming into the casino, but while they have an extra 5 minutes in their day, they're going to get on this app and play. I could definitely see how they, adapt to how our viewers and players and audience members, how do we adapt them to still play, but from the comfort of their own home. So.
All right, and I'll wrap up by saying we are definitely firmly in team brick and mortar, because I just think there's nothing like that land-based experience. It employs a lot of people. It's just, I definitely don't want iGaming to ever take over, and URComp's going to do everything we can to drive land-based trips.
Yes, nothing like being there.
Nothing like being there. Yeah. All right, everybody, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in.